So, today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stories ever told. It's got everything: family drama, betrayal, a father's heartbreak, but also this amazing reunion that shows there's a much bigger plan at play. And it all comes down to one pivotal moment: the patriarch's Jacob's journey to Egypt.
Just think about that for a second. Now let me die. This isn't a cry of sadness or despair. It's the total opposite. It's a statement of pure, overwhelming joy and completion. So what on earth could make a father say something like that? Well, to get the full picture, we've got to go back. Way back. 22 years, to be exact.
All right, let's set the scene. For more than 20 years, 2 whole decades, the patriarch Jacob is just broken. He believes his absolute favorite son, Joseph, was torn apart by a wild animal. Of course, this was all a terrible lie made up by his other sons. But Jacob didn't know that. For him, this loss was everything.
I mean, look at this contrast. It's just wild. On one side, you have 2 decades of just gut-wrenching grief. And then, out of nowhere, this impossible news. Joseph is alive. And not just alive, he's basically running Egypt. At first, Jacob's like, no way, that's impossible. But then, he sees the wagons, these official Egyptian wagons sent just for him. And that's the moment it all changes. The text says his spirit revived. You can just feel that thaw, right? That long, cold winter of grief finally breaking.
So what does he do? He packs up everyone, the whole family, and they're leaving the promised land to go to Egypt. Now you have to understand, this is a huge deal. It's not just moving houses, it's a massive, maybe even terrifying step. So he pauses. He stops at a place called Beersheba, which is super significant for his family. It's tied to his dad, Isaac, and his granddad, Abraham. He's there to basically ask, God, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing?
And boy, does he get an answer. This promise he receives is the absolute game changer. Suddenly, this journey isn't about running away from a famine anymore. It becomes a key part of this grand, divine plan. It's like God is telling him, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid to go. I'm right here with you, and this is all part of the big promise I made to your family. Okay, so with that divine green light, Jacob keeps going, and he's heading straight for what is, without a doubt, the emotional peak of this whole story, a reunion that he never, ever dreamed could happen. And the scene itself, wow, it's just so powerful. You've got Joseph, this high-ranking Egyptian official, who gets in his own chariot and races out to meet his dad. And when he sees him, he just collapses on his old father's neck and cries. The text says for a good while. Think about that. This isn't some quick hug. It's 22 years of pain, of loss, of lies, just pouring out and being washed away. And right there, in that moment, Jacob says those words we heard at the beginning, now let me die. And this right here, this reunion, gets us to the absolute heart of the story. It's this idea of providence, the belief that God is quietly working behind the scenes, turning what looks like a total disaster into something amazing. All those terrible things that happened to Joseph, his brothers selling him, being thrown in prison, they weren't random. Suddenly you see they were all steps on a path that put him in the exact right place at the exact right time to save his entire family. But wait, the story's not over yet. The reunion is huge, but now Jacob, this old shepherd, has to figure out life in a brand new world. And his very next meeting? Yeah, it's with the Pharaoh. Just the most powerful person on the planet. So Pharaoh asks him a pretty straightforward question, right? How old are you? And Jacob says he's 130. Now, that's a long life for sure. But the number itself isn't the amazing part. It's what he says about those 130 years. That's what's really telling.
Wow. Few and evil. That sounds pretty rough, doesn't it? I mean, the guy's been on the run, he got tricked by his own uncle, his family was a mess, and then there's the whole grieving for his son for 20 years thing. But he uses this one critical word, pilgrimage. He's not just saying his life was a string of bad luck. He's saying it was a journey, a temporary trip with a real destination. He's basically telling Pharaoh that this life, with all its pain, is just a stopover on the way to where he's truly going.
And then something completely unexpected happens. The whole power dynamic just flips on its head. You've got the Pharaoh, king of this massive empire, and then you have this tired, 130-year-old man. And guess who blesses who? The shepherd blesses the king. It's this incredible moment of spiritual authority. It shows that Jacob's role as the carrier of God's promise is more powerful than any throne on earth.
So what does Pharaoh do? He gives Jacob's family the best real estate in all of Egypt, the land of Goshen. On one level, this is super practical.
It saves them from the famine. But it's also deeply symbolic. Goshen becomes this incubator, this protected space where God's promise to turn Jacob's family into a great nation can really start to happen. It's the place that sets the stage for everything that comes next, including, ironically, their escape from this same country centuries later.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. When you put all these pieces together, what are the big ideas we're supposed to take away from this story? Because there's a lot going on here, on a bunch of different levels.
So let's break it down real quick. First, you've got divine providence, God using even the bad stuff for a good outcome. Second, faith and guidance. Jacob had to take a leap of faith into the unknown. Third, the reunion screams grace, getting back what you thought was lost forever. Fourth, there's covenant identity. They're in a new land, but they're staying true to who they are in Goshen. Fifth, it's about generational faith. Jacob blesses Pharaoh, showing that his family's purpose is to be a blessing to the world. And finally, from a Christian perspective, it's seen as Christological fulfillment. Jacob's trip to Egypt kind of prefigures Jesus' family fleeing there, setting up this amazing pattern of salvation throughout the whole story.
And really, that brings us to the big question for all of us, right? This story is this powerful reminder that maybe, just maybe, in our own lives, even in those really long, dark seasons, or when we take a turn that makes no sense, there could be a bigger, better plan unfolding that we just can't see yet. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does a story like this, about tragedy turned into triumph, challenge how you see the unexpected twists and turns in your own life?